Today we're going to be doing basics, bottom mount escapes. We've been doing this the past couple of days, and this is going to be a slightly different variation of the ones we've been doing today, or this last week. And then we're going to end the day with going over the triple threat position and what you can expect from the possibilities there. Okay. So to start off, the moves I want to do today are going to have to do with your opponent, the top opponent, responding to your attempts for transition. So when your guys on mount like this, right? One of the ways to escape is to press on the hips and the knee and turn to your side. Okay. So if I'm on top like this and my opponent starts to turn underneath me like this, he's getting this foot up. And so when he does that, I'm going to slide up the back like this. And this position is called the triple threat position. We call it the triple threat position because there's three potential options from here. There's an arm bar, there's a choke, and there's a back take. And I'll go over those in a minute. But what we're going to do here is we're actually going to do a move off of this triple threat position. And I'm actually going to show a real easy variation just to kind of neutralize your situation, and then a bit more of a flashier one that opens up the possibility for submission as well. So, so the first move, if you have a partner, you can watch this and then practice it while I kind of go over some explanations. Is, like I said, I call it a re-neutralization. So your opponent's on you like this, right? So the leg is up in my back, and this one's here like this, and maybe he's going to go for an arm or whatever. So a lot of our moves, like I said, require us to kind of spin in one place. So if I ever get to this position on my side, I'm actually going to get back to my back. And if they're inside your back, you can't roll back into them. Okay, their leg is right behind your back. So you can't just roll backwards. You're rolling into them like this, right? So this is a old standby, call it the bed roll. And again, it's based off the idea that when you are sharing a bed with somebody, you can't just roll over on the bed. You have to roll in place. So you take the top leg, you make a base, and then you're going to bump your hip up just a little bit so you can turn yourself underneath, okay? It's not a super complicated move, but it is something that works real well in this position. So you put this foot here like this, bump, and turn, and that's it. So now they're still here, and your arms, if you do this right, should be here. So Bob's probably not going to hold up very well without a better base. Let's see, there we go. It's better. So we're here, right? And your opponent's sitting on you. And you're flat on your back now. So what I like to do is I'll actually go, so I worry about this arm bar here. So I'll go under the leg with this hand, like this. And then I can actually windshield wiper this off. And when I do that, my opponent usually just sort of slides with it, and then I can come up with it. So I'm going like this, and I come up like that. And while they're readjusting their position, I'm readjusting mine. All right. So if you want to try that, that's a pretty easy little move for you to try. Okay, I'll show it to you one more time. And this is, like I said, this is a very versatile little move that you can use to get yourself back to neutral in a lot of dangerous situations. Okay, so one more time, your opponent's here, like this. This is that triple threat setup. Okay, so he's got his leg draped instead of down. It's draped, so I tried to push it down. In the process, I didn't push the hips correctly, or they came up before I had a chance to push, and so their leg goes here in front of my body. All right, so I'm going to defend, and while I'm defending, top foot goes here, faces, bridges my hip up off the ground just a little bit so that I can rotate in place. I'm not actually rolling, I'm actually just rotating in place. So it's like this, boom, boom, hip up, and I rotate in place. Okay. Now, usually your opponent will stay in that sort of high mount position. And when they do, this hand goes underneath their leg, because that's the hand I'm worried about them arm barring, right? Because if it's here like this, step over arm bar, right? So I'm going to worry about this one here and worry about this one here. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to windshield them over my head. Okay, so you're just going to windshield your opponent's legs over your head. And when you do, they're usually going to slide out like this. See how Bob's kind of sitting on his hip here? So that's when he does that, my arm comes up underneath like that, and Bob's getting to his knees. And then as Bob's getting to his knees, I'm getting to my knees. And I may be underneath, but there are a lot of transition moves I can do from there that I've showed in previous videos. So if you want to see any of those, they'll show up on the YouTube channel. Okay. So that's the first move for today. And like I said, it's a super easy move, super easy fluid transition. I like to use this move a lot. A lot of people will, especially when I turn sideways, will get high on me up here. And that's when I like to come up underneath and swim them across and then come up on my knees the other way. So, so the slightly more flashy move to this, which can lead to a submission, you use the same position, but instead of going underneath, you're actually going to, you're still going to use your hips. Your hips are real important when you're when someone's mounted on top of you. Your hips are real important for mobility's sake. Okay, so again, I'm on my side here like this, and his knee is in my back, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to frame on the leg like this, and I'm going to step forward with these legs here like this, and I'm going to push away, and I'm going to scoot so that the leg comes up like this, all right? Because right at this moment, your opponent's sitting on you with his knee up in your back. So his weak spot, he's actually sitting back on his leg. He doesn't have much weight here. This is where his weak spot's going to be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually try to get him over me like this. So I'm going to push on the leg. I'm going to step, and I'm going to drive. Now you see what happens is if your guy was not going to fall over. What's going to happen is this leg is going to move away from the body. So if you do this right, you're moving your whole lower half away. And when you do this, you're actually going to open up a spot right here for your back knee to come in. All right. So to show without the dummy on top, I'll show you what it looks like without the dummy on top. So I'm here. He's just gotten on top of me. I'm going to push on his knee, right? I'm going to step, and I'm going to bridge, and I'm going to drive and then turn. So all in one motion. So it's going to be like this. And then once I'm here, their leg should be kind of over the top, with a little hole right here. And then this knee comes in, and I turn off that knee, and I get what's called a ashi, okay? And it's a single leg single leg outside, all right? So it would be like your opponent's here and here, and so as not to get him to fall over again. So his leg's here like this. So I go here, I turn, there's this space right here. So this knee goes inside like this, and then this foot comes over like this, all right? Let me move that angle a little bit so you can see it a little better. Okay, so it's like this. All right, this is called ashi garami. And you can see here what's going on is this knee is holding this knee here, and this foot, this heel is holding that hip right there. Okay, now there's two options from here depending on what your opponent does. If your opponent leans that way, so that means their body is sort of set up like this. Okay, they're kneeling on their. Actually, I'll show you from the other direction. So if I'm being ashied, like so, by Bob here. Okay, so I'm being ashied by Bob. And I have two options to do with this. If I try to turn this way, then he's going to have one response. All right. But if I sit up towards him, he can take my foot and come out with it. So again, here's the ashi position. Right? So if I'm more based this way, then there's one thing he's going to do. And if I'm more based this way, so I'm coming over the top that direction, he's going to go the other way with it. Okay? So I'll try to show you on Bob here, each direction. Okay? So we'll try to get Bob up to the position. Onto his knee. Okay. Good go. So he's here. I've got that. Oh, I'll use his wrist. Does it work? All right. So we'll start with the easy one. Okay. I've got Bob and ashi like this. And he leans up toward me. And it's going to be real easy for me to grab this ankle and come down this direction and then go for an ankle attack. All right. This is a straight ankle lock. There's other ways to get into this exact position from the top. In fact, that's one of the attempts that you make to get your opponent to react when you are on top and they open up their guard. You go for this straight ankle lock. And depending on how they react, if they don't react, you sit back for it. If they do react, you can use that to your advantage to pass your guard. Okay? So straight ankle lock can be can take down just about anybody, even guys with big ankles like me. Strong legs, you think, oh yeah, that has a lot to do with it. It really doesn't, because it's about leverage and it's about angle of the bones, right? So you want to try to, what you're trying to do with this, is you're actually getting underneath the ankle right here and extending the foot, and then you're basically lifting behind the leg and trying to kind of hyperextend the ankle and put a lot of pressure on that Achilles tendon, all right? So to finish this move, there's a couple ways you can do this. One of the best ways is once you get this foot in, you want to get this across, and you can actually grab your jacket to really get it in tight. And you want to drop this elbow back as far as you can down and like really deep on it like that. So I'm actually rolling over my arm when I do that part of the move. Okay. So one more time. So if I'm here, if I've got this ankle, I don't need to, you can grab your hands together. That is one way. If you grab it so that this bone, your radius here bone, is up into the Achilles tendon. But you can do this with your lapel as well if you're in the gi. And so it comes up like this, you grab that lapel, and then you try to go over, and then you hip out. And you shouldn't need, even without a lapel, like if I don't have this, the guy's grabbing my hand or something, you shouldn't need more than just that to create enough pressure to cause that tap right there, okay? So that would be one option you have from this position, okay? I'll show you the other option. So if we're here and your opponent decides he's gonna go this way, what you're gonna do is you're gonna reach underneath, you're actually gonna lift this up, and you're gonna start to push him back. And when you push him back, he's gonna roll up onto his leg, and you sit up like this with this leg on your shoulder, and then you can sit yourself up like this, and he's gonna be on his knees already falling over, okay? It's kind of like if, you know, if I had this here, right? So he's got the same move on me. And, no, that's not, it's the other leg. It's the other leg we're doing. So he's got the same move on me here. Okay. He's got this foot over. Okay. So we're here with that ashigarami, and I go this direction. All right. I might even think I'm going to stand up on it, right? So what he's going to do is he's going to sit up, putting my leg up on his shoulder. When he does that, what's going to happen is it's going to lift it up. I'm going to come up like this, and then he just has to drive and push me down. Now that will be different with different people because flexibility plays a key in this. As I'm not very flexible, this would be pretty devastating to me. I wouldn't even have to try very hard. I would hate to be stretched out like that. And I'd have to hope that my strength could help pull me in some of those scenarios. And if knowing how this goes, the choice would be mine. Do I go to the left where he sits up and sweeps me, or do I go to the right and try to work my escape from the straight ankle lock on the right hand side? And personally, I would probably try working the escape on the straight ankle lock on the right hand side. But again, it's hip mobility, flexibility, and that's why these basic classes are really important, because it helps you to see, is this something that which one of these is going to work best for you? Is one going to work better than the other? And if so, that's going to be the one that you're going to want to go for when you do these moves. Okay. So one more time, I'll show you the entry to that, so you can take that with you and practice it when you have a chance on your partner. Okay. So again, your opponent is on top of you in the triple threat position. Come on, Bob, work with me. Okay, so triple threat position here, like so. All right, so again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring these feet forward. I'm going to pull my hips forward using my feet. And when I do that, I'm also going to take a quarter turn towards Bob, maybe even more like a quarter and a little bit more, so I can get that knee inside. And again, this move works real well for anybody who can get their knees up to their chest real easily. Again, shortcoming that I have, I can't really bring my knees up to my chest. So this isn't really like my favorite go-to move. The one that I scoop underneath, that's my go-to move. But again, you need to know that this is an option depending on who you are, because maybe that scooping thing doesn't work for everybody. Maybe you're worried about being underneath somebody in turtle position. So again, what we're going to do is you're going to bring this forward with your feet. You're going to scoop and turn, and that's going to create a hole right here. And that hole comes in. You're immediately going to stick this knee inside and then get this foot over, just like that. Okay. And then you're in ashi. And then remember, if they go to the ashi side, you got straight ankle lock. They go away from the ashi side, you've got the sit up and sweep them essentially. Real quick, before we go on to the triple threat, I want to show you what the defense for this move is. Okay, so when we are here and I'm going for this straight ankle lock, most people, the first thing they'll do is grab the arm, grab this outside arm, try to keep me pulled up. But what you also want to do is this foot right here. You want to push it down to the mat, and then you're going to jump your butt over to the side. And if you are, if you've got my arm with at least one of your hands, even just like my sleeve, for best control, if you're doing gi, sleeve is best control here, because then with the left hand, with the opposite hand, you can control the sleeve. And with the same side hand, you can control the hip. So you push the foot off, hip over. What I'm inclined to do is follow this through. There's a way to follow this through where I like roll up on your leg right here. If you've got this arm, it's gonna be real hard for me to roll up. But now you can use that arm to pull yourself up and square yourself back up and escape the rest of the position. Okay, so just remember that little thing. All it is this. It's this foot is here. You're gonna grab this arm, try to grab this arm, try to grab that sleeve. One arm, one hand on that sleeve, pulling me this way. The other hand pushes that foot down. Then you jump the butt over like that. And once the butt is on the other side of the foot, you sit up and you keep pulling up on the sleeve to keep me from rolling over. And then you can sit up on me and pull this leg out. And it might even put me back in a mount if I don't know how to properly address the scenario. So that's going to be your defense. Okay, for that one position. All right. So let's talk about triple threat. Now I showed you a move right there at the beginning, the bed roll, as I call it, to get out from underneath your opponent when they're sitting on you. Okay. So that's the bed roll, and that works real well in the triple threat for the most part. There are a few instances where if your opponent has their like everything kind of locked in, you might worry about that because it might actually put them in a better position. But if you do it, if your instinct is to do it, if your instinct becomes this is what I do, then it definitely works. But it takes some time usually to get it to work. So let's talk about what's available in the triple threat position. Okay. So the first thing that's available is the good old-fashioned armbar. And there are actually really two ways to do this armbar from this position. All right. Now, as a larger fellow, I like to do this first variation because if for some reason I can't finish it, I haven't given up my position. I personally consider the armbar an intermediate position because if you don't know how to finish it correctly, you will get rolled up on quite a few times. So this is like a seated armbar, or I call it a seated armbar. So this arm has this hand has this arm, okay, like this. All right. Now, what's going to usually happen is I'm going to post out and I'm going to throw this leg over and I'm going to sit back, right? But what is more effective, in my opinion, in this position is going to be that seated armbar position. So again, I'm going to grab this and I'm actually I'll probably use their pants just because it's a little closer than the mat. So I use their pants, and I'll bring this leg up, and when I do, you actually, keep your head there, Bob. You actually use your knee against their head like this, and then you extend like that. Okay, this is why when you're in triple threat, you don't want to give your opponent a free arm, all right? You always kind of keep your arm, your elbows tucked, because if I can get this arm underneath like this, even better like this, now it's real strong, see? So if I'm here, grab my lapel here, go here, knee goes in the head, I straighten up, there's your arm bar, right? So nobody wants that. Nobody wants that to happen to them. So they keep this real nice and tight. All right. Now the second thing that can happen is, let's say you go under on this side, right? So they go real, you go real tight, elbows down. You don't need to get underneath elbows to go on this side. So you're gonna go on this side. You're gonna grab your opponent's lapel like this, okay? And then you're actually going to lift them up as you roll them over. So I'm going to go boom, boom. Now I'm on the back, okay? And I'm actually 2 steps away from a choke. All right, there are a lot of chokes from the back. I don't want to show any directly from the back, but I'll show you the one that you would end up with in this position from here, okay? So, so if you, they're trapped here like this, and you can reach this, right, lapel. There's a real pretty easy choke here. You bring this lapel down and you grab there, all right? This is a real strong grab as well. So, you know, you're in tight like this, but the guy pulls this down and goes over your head, right? So if I'm here, pulls this down with this arm, goes around the head, grabs with that arm like that. Now, all I have to do from here is I got 2 options. I can actually go here like this, and I can choke from there just like this, right? Which is the third one, okay? So I can take the back, or I can go for this choke right here. So if I go for this lapel, most of the time people will automatically try to defend that, get that off. And when they do, my hand should already be down here. So they reach for it and I go boom, pull that up. And then behind the neck, I push my blade of my hand down, make a fist. That's how I like to do it. Push the head forward with the fist and choke like that. Okay. So that's the third threat in the triple threat. You got the arm bar, you got the choke, and you got the back take. Okay. Now, what do we do in order to defend ourselves in this position? Well, like I said, my biggest way is to do the bed roll, right? But another way you can actually deal with this is just a simple try to scoot away. Okay, it's super basic, but unless they already have control, like unless they have this control right here, if their hands are still up here trying to figure out what they want to do or what you're gonna do, just shrimping out and back is going to be a real strong response to this move, to this setup. Besides the bed roll, besides the sweep we just, or the transition we just learned to that position, the third would be the just push away. This is another move I like to do as well, depending on how I've been feeling about my abilities up to that point. So it just kind of looks like this. So your opponent decides they're gonna come up on you, and they're gonna do the triple threat. You messed up, or you were too slow, and your opponent sets up for your triple threat. Okay, we're here. All right. So they're usually higher. Just FYI with it. Their knees are usually right up next to your head, like this. All right. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to, again, you're going to try to make a frame on your opponent. You're actually just going to try to push yourself out, okay? And it can be easy or hard depending on body type and all that other stuff. But this is actually pretty easy. So you go here, you put your hand here like this, and you just sort of push and start to like square. So see how I kind of re-angled my body. So what I did was, I was here like this, right? And instead of staying square with him, I'm actually going to try to move my body away. So I'm going to lift my shoulder and turn, lift my shoulder and turn. And now their knee should be about right here. Their foot should be draped over me like this. And I'm out, right? Essentially, I'm out. I don't have all the fun bells and whistles as people who can like be a little more explosive, but I am out of the position, and I can, you know, then I can try to pick the leg up and sweep it over, or, you know, there's a few other things you can try there and just play with them if you end up in that position. But basically, it's as simple as that. Now, if you have a choice in which of these you're going to try to defend. So let's say, we're going to go one step further, and let's say you're in the triple threat bottom, and they start to pull your lapel tight, and they get in here for this choke, right? So what you really need to do is you really need to try to get this arm, try to keep this arm down, because there is a choke without the arm, so you have to watch out for that. But try to keep this arm down and get it over your head, okay? Because both of your hands are here. So he's grabbed your lapel, both your hands are here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try to, again, turn. And in doing so, I'm going to loosen up the arm around the neck, and then I'm going to try to push the arm over. This is another way to escape from this particular choke. Is if the arm's not in place, then they can't choke you. So you're going to take both hands, and you're actually going to scoop at the arm, and you're going to try to create space by sort of turning into that arm a little bit, because see, the arm's tight like this. So to create space, you need to turn. See how if the arm's here like this, and I turn a little bit into it like that, my neck goes below. So if I'm here like this, right, and I kind of turn a little bit, I'm giving a little space, so then I can push the arm up and over the head and get that off. That's another last minute thing, all right? If for some reason your guy gets the arm here, right, this is actually another opportunity for you to practice your bed roll. So I'm here, the guy's got my arm, I'm gonna put my foot down, I'm gonna bump and roll and try to pull that arm out just like that. So that's a way in a previous video I've defended against an arm bar, even just in this position, just here, and then they're pulling, and then they make a little loose here, and so I bed roll, pull the elbow down to the mat, right? If they get their knee up on your head, you can't turn that way. And honestly, most people will even go the other, well, you have a choice, really. You push on the head with, do you use the same side arm and push on the head, or do you do the opposite side arm and grab the pants? I'm that guy, right? But then it does allow for more spinning underneath you if your opponent is more reactive. So you have to, there's a few things you have to consider when you're setting up some of this stuff and worried about what your opponent's doing. So there's a lot more that can be included with this, but I don't want to go into it too much. I just want to let you know about some of the options you have when your opponent is in this position, and some of the options you have when you go into your opponent goes into that high amount potential for triple threat. And in no-gi, there's a very similar position called S mount, and it's a very strong position as well. It doesn't have the lapel stuff, but it does have the arm bar stuff, and it does have the back take stuff. And there's a few other things. There's a triangle choke from there and whatnot. So there's a lot of options that can come off that. But when we're talking about the gi, that triple threat position, knowing those three options there are going to be what you want to worry about, especially if you're on the bottom, but also if you're going to attack from the top. So, and that's it for me, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you for coming. I hope you had a chance to try some of that stuff out while I was talking. You know, I'm not around to like see what you're doing. So obviously if you're doing the moves that I'm showing and then you're, you know, listening to me talk at the same time, you can always pause it if you want to see if there's anything more that I'm saying here. But if you want to actually like have me take a look at what you're doing, if you're watching this, you can go to my Zoom classes. I put links in there as well. So if you want to come to my Zoom classes, I can help you out with some of that stuff too. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot, guys, for coming today.